As floodwaters crept into the Mafeking and Bristol communities yesterday, the Mayaro/Rio Claro Regional Corporation took swift action, sending its staff home early to prevent them from being marooned due to worsening conditions. By afternoon, water levels edged dangerously close to homes, coinciding with an orange-level riverine alert from the Meteorological Service. The alert warned of continued rainfall into today, likely causing rivers to rise even further. Meanwhile, street flooding intensified along the Cunapo Southern Main Road in Navid Village. Speaking with Guardian Media by telephone, Corporation Chairman Raymond Cozier expressed concern about the speed at which flooding was developing in parts of the region. While efforts were ongoing, he feared that persistent rainfall could soon escalate into a critical situation. We have decided to close the corporation and send workers home because we do not want them to be trapped here, especially those living in the Mayaro and Oropouche areas. People are leaving to go home now as the waters are rising in the Mafeking area, Cozier said. Recent river cleaning projects have helped to increase capacity and reduce blockages. However, Cozier revealed that efforts in Mafeking had hit a serious snag. Although the corporation managed to clear a significant section of the river that flows through the community, private landowners had denied access to critical downstream areas. The work has stopped for a while, and that is what is causing the problem because the clearing was being done, and when it stopped, that created the bottleneck. So when we can get that permission to thoroughly clean the whole course, then the work will be really effective. Over in San Pedro, disaster management workers responded to a home where a roof was partially blown off by overnight winds. Elsewhere, fallen trees were reported across the Cunapo Southern Main Road, Biche, and Eccleville in Rio Claro. Later in the day, a tree toppled onto a house in Charuma Village, Biche. The Disaster Management Unit, DMU, cleared the debris and carried out a damage assessment. Emergency response teams remained on standby throughout the region, though water began receding in some areas. In Barrackpore, floodwaters began to rise at Khanhai Road South and Oropouche South Road. However, Princestown Regional Corporation Chairman Gowrie Rupnarine confirmed that no significant losses had been reported, as most of the flooding was confined to streets. Disaster officials also removed a tree that had fallen across a road in Tableland. At Nanan Trace, Barrackpore, resident Dalkin Shanderbin took unusual precautions to protect his livestock. He put his ducks on a height to prevent them from swimming in the floodwaters that entered his yard, describing water about 3 feet deep rising behind his home. Meanwhile, the Siparia Borough Corporation was bracing for worsening conditions in Woodland, where floodwaters began spilling onto parts of Pluck Road. Fishermen near the Sudamatirath scrambled to secure their boats as water surged through the new cut channel. Siparia Mayor Dunith Meru described the situation as precarious. Well, by this evening, if it continues to rain, Pluck Road will be in a bad condition. Water will start entering people's premises, Meru said. He also reported street flooding along the SS Aaron Road in Aaron, adding yet another area to the growing list of communities affected by the unrelenting weather. Authorities are still trying to locate the driver or any occupants of a vehicle found abandoned in floodwaters on Trantril Road, St. Augustine South, following severe flooding on Friday morning. According to the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, the Tunapuna/Piarco Disaster Management Unit responded around 10:30 a.m. to a distress call from individuals trapped while attempting to drive through the flood-prone area behind the Coroni River. 3 vehicles became submerged. 2 people were rescued by the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, assisted by volunteers from Calpuz Bird Sanctuary, Ibis Tours, and the Tunapuna Corporation. However, the 3rd vehicle was discovered empty. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has since circulated a vehicle identification notice in an effort to trace the owner. Investigators are exploring the possibility that the driver or any passengers may have escaped the area and were picked up by someone else. A full investigation is underway. As a precaution, authorities have cordoned off Trantril Road to prevent further access. The ministry urged members of the public to avoid flooded areas under any circumstances and reminded them of the life-threatening risks of entering rising waters. The ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Homeland Security, continues to monitor the situation closely and said all necessary measures are being taken to prevent further incidents. Officials extended their sincere thanks to the first responders from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, Calpa's Bird Sanctuary, Ibis Tours, and the Cunapo Corporation for their swift, coordinated response and for risking their own safety to assist those in danger. An orange-level riverine flood alert remains in effect for parts of Trinidad as dangerously high river levels threaten flood-prone communities along the Caroni, Manuel Congo, and South Oropouche rivers. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service issued an update at 4:19 p.m. Thursday, warning that the Caroni River continues to overspill near the Tumpuna and El Carmen areas. The Manuel Congo River, which had previously declined, is rising again due to Thursday's rainfall, nearing critical levels once more. The South Oropouche River is also rising steadily, with some communities already experiencing localized flooding. Further rainfall over the next 12 to 24 hours is expected to worsen conditions. The Met Office said severe risk remains to lives, livelihoods, and property. Residents are urged to protect important assets and documents, avoid unnecessary risks, and monitor official sources for updates. The government has warned that the TNT Meteorological Service's extension of the orange-level riverine flood alert until 6 p.m. today means several hours of torrential rains, high winds, and more flooding can be expected. Speaking at the post-cabinet media conference at the Red House, Port of Spain, yesterday, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government Khadija Amin said several areas of the country were negatively impacted by the inclement weather. The riverine levels are already quite high. The soil is very saturated across the country, and so we are very concerned with the increased potential for flood damage of homes, collapsed roadways that have been weakened over time by small landslips, damage to crops and livestock, and the well-being of our society as a whole. Farmers across the country have been affected by overland flooding and loss of crops, Amin said. She said there were major reports of flooding from Rio Claro, Kelly Village in Caroni, Sangre Grande, St. Helena, Manuel Congo Village, Brazil Village, Tunapuna/Piarco, Las Lomas, and Paparo. There were also reports from Chaguanas, Arima, Tabaquite, and Las Lomas. Going further into the statistics, the minister said there were 18 reports of fallen trees in Diego Martin and Sangre Grande, 3 major landslides along the North Coast Road, 2 collapsed roadways in Pool Village, Rio Claro, and Heights of Oripo in Arima, 8 damaged roofs in Port of Spain, Princess Town, Siparia, and Rio Claro. Amin accused the previous People's National Movement Administration of neglect, but claimed the present government had acted quickly to avoid worse damage. She said the government started its flood mitigation program on May 13th, with its drain clearing and embankment works taking place from May 14th to 19th. We have positive outcomes because of our early planning and our proactive approach. We are seeing faster drainage in waterlogged areas. We saw areas where it came off, but the runoff was much faster than before. We have seen fewer homes underwater. We have reduced structural damage because of that, and thankfully, so far, minimal disruption in terms of national exams, Amin said. She urged the public to stay indoors where possible and to avoid driving on flooded roadways. Minister in the Agriculture Ministry Saddam Hossein said the issue of compensation for farmers is also being considered and discussed. Meanwhile, in a release yesterday, the Ministry of Education said it was forced to close 16 ECCE centers, 38 primary schools, and 13 secondary schools today due to prevailing harsh weather conditions. The ministry said the decision came after consultations with the Meteorological Service and the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, adding that it was prioritizing the safety and well-being of students, staff, and school communities. Despite the disruptions, 3,736 students sat the Cape Caribbean Studies exam across 82 schools. The ministry relocated some candidates to centers closer to their homes and allowed others to write the exam even though they arrived late. All affected students were accommodated, the ministry said. Flooding and road closures also disrupted the school nutrition program. The National Schools Dietary Services Limited, NSDSL, redirected meals to regional corporations in Penal/DB, Tunapuna/Piarco, and Cuva/Tabaquite, while full delivery services remain suspended.